Excuse me. Okay. We've got Chiron. Let's just leave it at that. I think we'll just, no, I better add some little bit more here. Give me a second. And we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, dokie. See if anyone's... Hello. Hello, Esther. Good evening. It's just you and me right now. So that's a bit of a hot spot right there. That's a hot spot right there. That's a hot spot right there. Kind of messy. I'll see if I can make the pictures more appealing. All right, so. You know what? Give me a second. Just give me a second here. Let's see if we can get some more better organized. Not really, but we'll try. Hi, Esther. Let me just check in on myself over here. Alrighty. Excuse me. Basically, I'm just trying to get set up here and everything. Okay. Ah, there we go. Hello, Esther. Good evening. It's just you and me right now. I don't think anyone else is here at the moment. Or are they? And they're just lurking. Sometimes there's people lurking around watching, and they have their YouTube name and stuff, but they don't log in. They don't type in the chat or anything like that. So as you can tell, Esther, I'm over here in my beach house at New Zealand. You know, lovely, lovely place. Just, you know, one of my locations where I like to hang out. So, I hope you are well too, Esther. It's been a real whiz-bang of a time lately with the astrology, and it's still going strong. It gets weirder and more weirder every day. We're going through a strange period astrologically where it's been going on for months now with all this compression of planets, all like proceeding, sort of like planets like in a marching band or a procession moving forward, like on a long slow grind, like soldiers on the march going on a very long journey. It's been going on for months now, and it's going to continue for several more months. So a lot of the planetary energy is all very lopsided onto one side of our westernized astrology, especially with the Pisces and the Aries and the Taurus energy. Of course, the moon is whizzing around like it does, and the sun is doing its thing and is transiting through. But some of the bigger outer planets like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, of course, they move a lot more slowly, so we have to allow for that. Let me go to the chart for a second, and I'll kind of try and illustrate how wacky it gets. When I talk about the compression, you know, what's another way to describe it? Yeah, it is like a procession when everything is all lined up, and then things get really bunched up and really, really tight to the point where there's an overlap. And then one planet overtakes another one, and another planet retrogrades, and so on. And that's all part of the compression. Everything's moving forward, but sometimes they overlap, and it just adds a lot of pressure astrologically. Hello, Marie Pereira. Hello, Marie. Thank you for visiting. So, good question, Esther. Good question. Depends on your perspective. From our perspective, inside of our solar system, the sun is fixed in the middle, and all our planets go whizzing around the sun. It's been going on for 4 billion years or more, probably more like 5 billion years. The Earth stabilized as a planet about 4.5 billion years ago, according to all my studies. But for our solar system to get to the point where it had these planets, it was already in its gestation period and formation for probably at least 1 billion years before that. And the time frame that I'm looking at going forward, I feel, as far as I can understand, with the life cycle of our sun, we have about another 4 billion years to go. And our solar system will be completely kaput. But humanity will be gone long before then, because the very end of our solar system will be marked by a massive supernova, when our sun gets more and more and more compressed, and it reaches a kind of a point of no return where the energy gets sucked in onto itself and it kind of explodes. Like instead of just a solar flare or a coronal mass ejection, the whole sun goes supernova. It just turns into one massive explosion. And that stretches out for years, and it's called a supernova. And they are happening all the time in the universe out there in different solar systems, and you can watch them with powerful telescopes. Thank you, Necessary. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'm at the beach house in the TarotLumination beach house over in New Zealand. It's part of the New Zealand TarotLumination campground, if you remember. So, good question, Esther. Now, in fact, at the core of our solar system, we have the sun. And can you believe it? The sun actually rotates, sort of like the Earth. From our perspective, when we look at the sun from Earth with what are called, I think it's like a heliospheric observatory. All these scientists, you can go online and see all these scientists, and they use these observatories, but the sun moves around. The sun actually rotates on its own axis, okay? Yes, it's absolutely gorgeous here. Give me a second. So, this is our Earth, and as you know, our Earth rotates around an axis that's about 18 degrees. What is it? Almost 20 degrees off center. So it's kind of lopsided. And that's why we have the seasons, okay? So when the Earth is on the side of the sun over here, it becomes summertime in the northern hemisphere and wintertime in the southern hemisphere. And when the Earth is on the other side of the sun, comes back over here, then the north is in wintertime and the southern hemisphere is in summertime. Now at the same time, if you just pretend, bear with me for a moment, if you just imagine that this is our sun. Actually, let me go over to the stage where I'm working. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's because I'm always asking these kind of questions of myself anyway, Esther. So that's the Earth, all right? So we know about that. It's well established, and this is the axis of rotation. For us, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and that's because of the way our Earth rotates, like this. Now, if you can imagine, just pretend for a minute that this is the sun. The sun actually rotates as well, but it's on a north-south axis relative to Earth. So the sun actually rotates like this, if you can imagine that. And it rotates quite slowly. It takes about if you use these softwares where you can actually watch the sun in real time, you can watch all the solar flares and the coronal mass ejections, you can see the sun actually moving, and it's slow, but it moves relative to us. And so it takes a few days, it takes about a week. Let's say, for example, we had a big solar flare popping out of the sun right over here. And it shoots over there somewhere. and let's say there's a coronal mass over here, dark, it takes about a week for this part to go all the way over to here. So the rotation feels pretty slow for us. All right, gosh, you guys are already diving into it with the astrology, yes. Okay. Well, interesting, Mary. Is it Marie or Mary? Anyway, I'll say Marie. It's going to be really exciting for the Gemini crowd because it's going to be double duty, heavy duty. I'll mention that since you guys are talking about it. Here's the TarotLumination Astrodoodle for tonight. Over here you have Jupiter and Uranus. They're very tightly conjoined right now, so I drew them on top of each other like this. And what is it? In 2025, later on, Jupiter is going to move into Uranus, into Gemini, and Uranus is going to move into Gemini. So that's going to be an extremely like hyperactive type of vibe energy. So the world of science and technology and global communications, internet, social media is going to be on. It'll be like as though it's on methamphetamines, crack, or a triple Starbucks, caffeinated or Monster energy drink. So just be aware that in advance. You don't want to burn out. It'll be very, very, very easy for the Gemini crowd to burn out their fuses over this long transit. Uranus will be there for 7 years. Jupiter will be there for about a year. And we'll talk about that when we actually get there. So just tonight, I'm just going to describe the Astrodoodle for tonight. Like I said earlier, everything is clustered, okay? It's a very tight compression. Everything's like really squashed up in one area. We have the moon over here moving very quickly. The moon is already in Capricorn tonight, and tomorrow it'll be over here, and the day after it's going to be over here in Aquarius. So let's not talk about that right now. It's the compression that concerns me the most. Like Mars is basically conjoined with Neptune in Pisces at the 28 degree mark. That's intense pressure. The way I see it is we're talking about completely out of control, insane, totally illogical violence for the sake of it. And the depraved joy that comes with people who salivate and rejoice in death cults and violence. It's a very scary aspect as far as I'm concerned. It makes me feel like the Mars energy is completely lost in the fog of war, and it's just acting out with violence any way that it can. And it's erupting all over the earth, as you know, with protests against this, protests against that, war expanding in Eastern Europe, war expanding in the Middle East, wars expanding in Africa. It's just tragedy. War, 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 riots, 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 riots. Insane, okay? Yes, it's very lopsided, Esther. This is an extremely lopsided astrology. So that's just the first one that comes to mind. Of course, Saturn in Pisces is sitting right there, like the judge, jury, and executioner, basically saying, okay, if everybody wants to go around with berserk, out-of-control violence, sure, do it. But you're going to have to deal with the consequences. Those people who can endure the temptation and avoid the temptation of indulging in the insanity of the violence, nuclear war, all that kind of thing, they will have a better chance of enjoying a healthy Saturn energy instead of being cursed by the Saturn energy. It's very, very difficult to handle this energy right now. Saturn is at, like, what is it, 15, 16 degrees. So it's very powerful in Pisces. So it's a very powerful karmic message going on here. Like, if you want to play with death, go ahead. Watch what happens. It's like all the other versions of out-of-control violence. For example, classic storylines happening in places like New York, Manhattan, all over America right now, where there's a lot of rape, assault, murder, child trafficking, really despicable, absolutely horrific things going on randomly across the country, because we have a lot of people who've entered the country and a lot of people inside the country already who are literally mentally highly unstable and they can't control themselves. They are lost souls, and sometimes you get to the point where the only remaining form of self-expression is just random acts of extreme violence that in a normal time you would never ever do. Over here we've got another little cluster where Mercury is conjoined in the North Node and Venus is very close by. So there's a lot of communication, social media expression happening right now, bursting out all across the earth through the global social media about individual people, billions of individual people through social media screaming out, basically claiming that they have a right to speak, they have a right to their own voice, their own views, their own politics, their own feelings, their right to freedom of speech. And a lot of those people are coming from a position of pain because Chiron is right there too. And this represents generations and many lifetimes of pain that's all culminating right now in terms of global self-expression. There are billions of people right now who are living in tragic, really crippling, tragic, painful situations, and they are crying out to be heard, crying out for fairness and for balance and healing and love. Venus is in Aries. And see, the way I see it, people are screaming out. They're not directly demanding love. Mostly it's rioting type of energy. And they're missing the whole point of Venus. It's very sad. It's very, very tragic. So the next one we have over here, of course, is the Sun is now firmly in Taurus. And we've already come out of the Taurus-Scorpio energy, and we've come out of the eclipses. And so it's becoming mainstream news now. It isn't just wacko people like TarotLumination and a few obscure wacko YouTube channels talking about the implosion of China and the collapsing dollar or anything like that. It's full-on mainstream news. If you call the Wall Street Journal mainstream news, or CNBC, whatever it is, those financial and news channels and Fox Business, things like that, they're now openly speaking about the unspeakable. They're openly speaking about the real-time implosion of China that is happening live on the world stage right now. It's as though China is going to go supernova. That's what I feel is happening. It's imploding under its own, let's say, treachery, deception, delusions. China has a very, very heavily afflicted Pisces aspect to its chart. And it's feeling all the affliction now, okay? So it's very tragic. There's a lot of tragedy built into this chart. A lot of tragedy, violence, and pain and suffering on the mass scale for planet Earth itself, but also for billions of individuals. Think of all the people in the storms and the floods, the earthquakes, whose lives, whose whole cities, the whole of this part of China is flooded. All of this down here, all of this up here is sinking. It's mind-boggling what's happening. Earthquakes, earthquakes, earthquakes. And of course that alludes to the Jupiter conjoined with Uranus. It's basically Jupiter and Uranus combined like that. They're sitting right on top of each other. Think of the gravitational magnetic forces happening out there. Uranus is absolutely enormous as a planet. It has a massive gravitational field. And then Jupiter is many times bigger. Also has a massive gravitational field. So just put those two lined up together. Imagine the gravitational force field that is being felt here on Earth. So if you look at the Earth like this, and this is the surface of the Earth, all the tectonic plates are under extreme pressure right now. We're talking about the Ring of Fire, okay? All the way along here, all the way along the Aleutians, down through Japan, China, Southeast Asia, Australia, down to New Zealand. That is the Ring of Fire. Intense pressure all the way around here. Intense pressure through the middle, but we don't see those very often. Bizarre tectonic plates shuffling all over the rest of the world. Earthquakes, lots of crazy storm action, volcanic action. It's all happening simultaneously. It's an awful lot of pressure, okay? Again, when I was describing the geomagnetic pull, just imagine these two are pulling very hard on Earth. You already know how the moon works on our tides. You can see it every day, regular as clockwork. Tides go up, tides go down, tides go up, tides go down, directly in synchrony with the moon. And that happens simply because the moon is this enormous rock that's very, very close to us, and it has a gravitational balance between the moon and Earth. It's basically in harmony. So wherever the moon is, that's where all the water is being sucked. It's in other words, and there's a bit of a delay. So the moon is here right now, so a lot of the water is being sucked over here. The moon will move over here. So wherever the moon goes, that's where it's dragging the tides. Because the tides move all over the Earth. There are some very accurate tidal maps. You can see them online. It shows you exactly where the high tides and the low tides are all over Earth, all day, every day. And that is a highly recognized phenomenon. And of course, the farmers know about the moon as well. But it's the same with the other planets. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. They all have a powerful gravitational electromagnetic pull between themselves and the sun in harmony and balance to stay in orbit, but also on the Earth, because we're inside the solar system whizzing around on our own orbit. It's mind-boggling what happens. Okay. All right, so we've got three themes going on right now. The real tragedy about uncontrolled violence over here, all over the world. The unstoppable voice of the masses screaming out all over social media, I want to be heard, I want to be listened to, I want people to understand that I have a right to be me, and I want to speak my truth. And then we have over here all the insanity that's happening in the global financial markets, the global finances, the global banking system, global economics, with America, China, the BRICS countries, all of that. And in a few days, what is it, probably in early May, the sun is going to be conjoined up here with Jupiter and Uranus. Just imagine what that's going to look like, okay? We're going to see major global headlines regarding global finances. Maybe it'll be something to do with the stock market. Maybe it'll something to do with China. Maybe it's something to do with Argentina. Who knows? But it is causing enormous convulsions and upheaval as the existing financial system is starting to collapse and corrode and implode at the very same time that a new financial world order is emerging underneath it. Out of the ashes of this collapsing, imploding global financial system, we will have a new global financial system. And I personally believe it's going to be operating in the world of cryptos and blockchains. Okay? Hello, Strings and Things. Hello, Necessary. Hello, Robin. I see you. Hello, Maria. You're worried about Iran and Israel. Yeah. Well, what can you do? Iran and Israel, they've been at it for thousands of years, and it's just going to keep going. It's basically Arabs versus Jews, or one culture versus another culture. And sometimes it gets so extreme. This is one of the tragedies about violence. Hold on, give me a second here. One of the tragedies about violence is that it leaves a very, very deep scar. And I've noticed it because I've lived a lot of different places, immersed in many different cultures. And when you get to the point where there's actual physical violence, one person on another or one group on another, it leaves very, very deep scars that typically do not heal in one lifetime. And what tends to happen is violence begets violence. And you get, like, on the smaller scale, it'll be just one person against another in a bar fight. But those two people in the bar fight, they're never going to forget that bar fight. And they're going to think, like, in the back of their head, one day I'm going to take out that other one. I'm going to take out that other dude. Then it goes up into, what do they call it? The next level of violence, where it's, interfamily type violence, neighborhood feuds, family feuds, where one family basically ends up at war with another family because of poor fences, poor neighbors, poor behavior. Maybe somebody did something to another, went out with the sister-in-law who was sleeping around with the brother-in-law of so-and-so, and it got found out, and somebody got pregnant who shouldn't have done, and things get ugly, and you get family feuds, those kind of things, and death from that aspect. And then it goes up to gangs and neighborhoods. Then it goes up to, like in America, it goes up to the world. It goes up and up and up and up. But it's the same energy field. Violence tends to beget violence. And there's a history of violence. And it goes up and down towards periods of peace and quiet. But some of the violence is very, very old. And what happens is, what I've noticed that happens, especially in the hotter climate areas, it's very, very hard for people who get locked in the vortex of reciprocal violence. It's very hard to break that cycle, because you feel 100% justified that you have to take revenge on the perpetrator. But then you become a violator yourself, and then they feel like, well, now you did me out, I'm going to take you, and it goes on, and you get to the point where you forget who did what to who and why, and then the violence just feeds on itself for the sake of itself. And it's a very, very scary pathway to hell. So There's a lot of that going on right now. A lot of seeds are being planted for multi-generational violence to appear many, many decades from now. And there's also a lot of multi-generational intercultural violence that is being indulged right now. It's happening for whatever reason. You know, you've got the Russia-Ukraine thing. They have their rationale for doing what they do about violence. Blood everywhere, dead bodies everywhere. Same thing with the Israel, Palestine, Gaza thing. Violence on violence. Unforgiven. All it does is perpetuate the theme for generations to come. Anyway, we're seeing it on a global scale right now. It's really kind of scary. Really, really kind of scary. Best to just stay out of it if you possibly can. Let me go back here for a second. I got to check a few more things. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that for now. The moon is in Capricorn, so it's a very somber, calm type of energy, and it happens to be in very strong harmony with the Taurus energy of Sun, Jupiter, and Uranus. So you might as well enjoy this big fat green trine while we've got it, because it's only going to be here for like a day or so. After that, once the moon gets over here in Aquarius, things are going to get very antagonistic again, flaring up, and then the moon is going to traverse here over the next week or so. So there's going to be a lot of emotional upheaval, irrational, explosive self-expression in the social media, right down to people like saying horrible things to each other on social media, all the way up to global politics, accusing each other of this and that. You're useless, you're horrible, I'm amazing, I'm amazing, all that stuff. It's all happening right now. The basic core themes to remember throughout all of this is 20 years of Pluto in Aquarius. That's basically revolution. It's going to be revolution of one kind, one form or another over the next 20 years. Lots of upheaval. The primary theme is going to be freedom versus tyranny. I know where I belong. I know what I want. There are astronomical power bases all over the world that are trying to hold on as much as they can to their tyrannical positions of power and money and control. The problem is we already crossed the cusp into Aquarius. But guess what? Let me show you something. Okay, here's April, right? We've just come out of Mercury retrograde. We got the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. We got the Mars-Neptune conjunction, and so on. We just had a full moon. And we're heading into May. And I've already marked out a few things. Neptune is going to be in the critical degree. So please allow for a lot of, I would say, completely out of control depravity, insanity on a global scale, especially when it comes to things like war and violence. For the whole month, Neptune in May is going to be on the critical degree. So it's the energy of desperation. The way I feel it's going to show is through globalized insanity. Literally, people exhibiting classic symptoms of insanity. Now the thing is, you can probably see it. I'm trying to dramatize it here, but it's a little bit difficult. Right, over here you see Pluto. It's been going direct for months now, and we're in Aquarius. But look, Pluto is retrograding on the 2nd of May. And it's going to go retrograde for months. And it's going to creep back into, you guessed it, it's going to creep, sorry, I'm going to shooting forward here, it's going to creep back into Capricorn over here. Over here, okay, until September. And when it gets to September, Pluto's going to be back in Capricorn at the critical degree for the whole of September and half of October. So that's leading right up to the big election. Neptune's going to be retrograde, Uranus, Saturn retrograde, Jupiter's going to be retrograde. Look what happens in November. It's going to be scary. Scary, especially with Neptune retrograde. Anyway, I don't want to jump too far ahead. So when Pluto goes retrograde, global politics is going to go berserk. Absolutely berserk. When it gets into Capricorn retrograde, we're going to get headlines about all the global elites reaching the point of absolute desperation where they are going to... Okay, hold on. I think my feeling is that the global elites are going to become desperate. Desperate people do desperate things. The global elites are that collection of entities, bureaucracies, I'm not going to name them right now, who want basically globalized communism for the whole of planet Earth. Mr. Ping wants that. He literally wants to take over the whole of Earth. The EU, the United Nations, the WHO, all of that stuff is going on right now, deep in the background. And they are going to get desperate to impose their tyrannical, evil agenda on the whole of planet Earth before they lose the chance. They know they're losing their chance because they don't do astrology like we do here. But they can tell inside that Pluto is going to be back in Aquarius in 2025 with no going back for another 20 years. So for the rest of this year, well, up until November, from now until November, there's going to be a lot of desperation inside the bubble, the little elite bubble of the global elites. That handful of a few thousand people who basically own and control the world, through BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Blackstone, all the big multi-trillion dollar asset managers who work through the banking system and then the global media system and then the global corporatocracies to propagate their tyrannical agendas. Okay? The problem is that we the people, the common people like you and me, we figured it out. We already figured out that they already got the net placed around humanity. And what they're trying to do is tighten the net, pull in the net, and capture the whole of humanity into this trap. And one of the most important tools is the central bank digital currencies. The global elites have figured out that we, the common, ordinary debt cows, debt slaves, we figured out that the CBDC system is actually a massive prison camp. So that's a problem for the global elites. They're going to trying to figure out how the hell are we going to trap 8 billion people in our prison camp now that they've figured it out. What are they going to do? So they're getting desperate. They're getting really, really desperate. And I think they're going to do what desperate people do. They're going to do desperate things. Really despicable, evil, desperate things. And it's going to show up all over the world in global headlines. We're caught in a trap. Yep. Okay. Anyway, there we go. I guess got to check something here, so give me a second. I'm going to go Okay, so let me clear the decks here. Okay, so I have my little rant. Thank you very much for listening. I just want to check a couple of things over here. I'm doing background housekeeping. Well, looks like we got a client this evening. Let's have a look here. All right. All right, let's get ready, folks, because we're going to do a live mini reading. Okie dokie. So, while we're setting up, I'm going to put all this stuff aside. Over here, we'll probably come back to this, of course, like we usually do. I have to get a set of beautiful tarot cards. I'm going to put this away, like we do. And then we're going to get all prepped up for the readings. Let's go back to May. We're not quite there. Let's not jump too far ahead. Okay, that's where we are today right now. Actually, while I get set up, you know what I'm going to do? I think I could. How am I going to do this? How can I do this? I got an idea. Well, let me do this. I'm going to just do this for fun, because sometimes we don't always get the chance. I'm going to do it like this. No, doesn't make much difference. You still can't hardly see it. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there for a minute. I am going to get some cards. Sorry, this isn't working. Forget it. I wanted to try and get some better visuals for you. But like I said, it's not working. Alright, I'm going to put the ephemeris aside. We're going to use the KISS rule. Keep it simple, stupid. Duh. Alright, here. I'm going to leave that over here. And how am I going to do this? Alright, first off, I'm going to confirm Mr. Gregory Ross has booked a little mini reading. Thank you, sir, for your kind generosity. I got room for one more, maybe two if anyone's interested. Song time. Okay. I'm going to, okay. Yeah, I can handle one. Oh, if you screenshot it, I better just, you know what? If you're going to do a screenshot, how about this? I'll put it right up here. You know, one day I might end up doing one video each day, like 5 minutes a day, 5 or 10 minutes a day, every day, and you can see the charts live in real time. I'm trying to hold it steady in case anybody wants to do a screenshot. So there you go. Okay. Thank you, Necessary. I'll put that over here. Okay, I got them. Alrighty, here we go. Thank you. That's probably about it. Now, who was it who? Oh, it was Tina. If Tina shows up, maybe she's got one in the bank, but she doesn't seem to be here tonight, so we'll probably have her visit next week. We'll do 2 readings tonight. That'll be okay. Hello, Diana. Good evening. Yep. Got it. Thank you. Oh, okay. Oh, just throw in a few bucks. Do you know the routine, strings and things? Let me just do it quickly for you, quickly over here. So, on another device, just go to TarotLumination.com, click the donate page, click the donate button, scroll down the payment processor like you're doing online shopping, select credit card, debit card, and put your donation in there. press send, and you're good to go. Alright, so bear with me. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a little TarotLumination song. Thank you. How am I going to do this? Where do I have all my songs? How about this? Yeah, I'm going to go for my little song. It's called I Am Guided, I Am Protected. Because you get to this point, like last week we had a lot of themes around hope, where you have in faith, like where you believe in something even though there's no evidence to justify the belief, you know. Esther, you donated as well? Oh, okay. Oh boy, looks like we're getting super busy. I don't know how much more I can handle, folks. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, let's see. All right. Here we go. So bear with me. Okay.
I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. When the light of hope it fades, when all faith is blown away, when all sense of trust goes down, when a smile turns into frown, when it feels there's no relief, nothing in which to believe, desperate in woe and grief, angels come reminding me, I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. Angels gather close to me, show me what I cannot see. Angels take me by the hand, lift me when I cannot stand. Angels lead me through the dark, soothe and tend a broken heart, laughing at the circumstance, crying while we sing and dance. I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected.
There you go. Well, I'm going to play one more little song because I've got to catch up with the shuffling. And this is about This is a song about seeing people's auras.
Witnessed the blue lights around you, mixed with gold and turquoise surrounding you, pouring down on you like a shower that you shared with us for an hour. Sometimes it feels like it's fading. I know you won't let it all disappear. Your love is the essence, it burns incandescent. Your love is a lighthouse, my dear. Your love is the essence, it burns incandescent. Your love is a lighthouse, my dear. We need the light shining eternal, most especially when things get infernal. When things get all battered and shattered, lost in darkness, that's when it matters. And though sometimes it feels like it's fading, I know you won't let it all disappear. Your love is the essence, it burns incandescent. Your love is a lighthouse, my dear. Your love is the essence, it burns incandescent. Your love is a lighthouse, my dear. Your love is the essence, it burns incandescent. Your love is a lighthouse, my dear. Your love is the essence, it burns incandescent. Your love is a lighthouse, my dear.
Ta-da! There we go. So, we are ready. We got 3 readings tonight, folks. And I'm going to keep an eye. Let me check something before we actually go live into the readings. Just going to make sure everything's working properly. Okay. It looks sort of like it. I have a lot of different softwares running simultaneously. I'm glad you like that, Diana. Did you see the little picture I showed you? That's a sketch that I made when I used to do all my super advanced yoga stuff. Some of the yogis where I would hang out were, I would say, very powerful, and it would be normal for me to go into one of the yoga sessions and actually see the aura of this, especially of this one girl in particular. She had a very, very powerful aura. It wasn't just her aura. She was actually a very powerful person in her own right. And one of her big struggles in life was actually trying to figure out what to do with her power. And I didn't want to get too involved in all of that because It was a very delicate subject. But it's like when someone is like really in tune and their energy is flowing properly, you can actually see and sense the aura. It's an absolutely mind-boggling thing to witness. So it's a little bit tricky because it makes you sound like you're insane. It's like, oh, I can see all those lights coming out of you and stuff. It's not like you're sitting there like in some animated movie or some kind of special effects thing in a movie where you start glowing. But that's the nearest thing. So it's quite something. It's really, really quite something. Because you have to remember that we own energy. Like with this particular girl, for example, she was very good at summoning her energy. The problem is that what do you do with that? And it's like being someone who was born very gifted, very strong, very powerful. It can be very tempting to abuse that power, you know? Hello, Precious. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in a while. By the way, everybody, I can't take any more readings. I'm up to the wall with 3 as it is. That's enough for me. My little physiology can't take it that much anymore. We used to do 5-hour shows, but those days are gone. I'm sorry. Sorry. Anyway, we're going to get a start now. Gregory puts a few notes up there. I noticed that. You had to put you ask about. You did a 4,000-mile road trip. Well, I don't think I could do that. You want to know about the Salazar case? Okay, sure. Yeah, we can do that. Well, I'm just going to do what we do, Gregory. I'm going to keep it super, ultra simple. Okay. So, for example, on Gregory's reading, we're going to do that in a moment. What it's going to come down to is this. Basically, we're inviting all our invisible friends to come with us and hang out, and it's like a pooled energy field, and it feeds on itself, and it's a beautiful phenomenon, especially when it's intentional. It's like when people have prayer groups, for example. That's a very powerful and it's a very real phenomenon. Some people don't believe in the power of prayer, but it's a very real thing. So that's a little bit sort of what we do here, where we're invoking this healing power of love to fill our bodies, minds, hearts, and souls from above. And then you own that energy. And that's a great responsibility. So what are you going to do with that? Be loving and be loved. And then it becomes a positive feedback loop. Be loving, be loved. So keep loving anyway. Like when things get really scary and frightening, love anyway. It's so easy to give up. Okay, precious. All right, let's get rolling. So essentially, Gregory, using the KISS rule, what kind of messages do we have for Gregory tonight regarding the Salazar case? Okay, it's an ongoing thing, I know, because I think we've done readings about it before. All right. So as you know, we're going to use the TarotLumination situational spread. It's a very, very simple, elegant little spread. It's just a diagnostic tool. You go to an auto mechanic. You tell them, oh, my car isn't working. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't feel right. You know, the technicians, they plug in their diagnostic machine with a bunch of wires, and they wait for about 5 minutes. It runs through the computer, and they tell you, oh, your gas cap is loose. Oh, you've got a sensor that burned out on the transmission. Oh, and so on and so on. Between this week and last week, a lot of weird things have been happening on my channel on YouTube. You wouldn't see it because I wasn't doing any shows, but there was a bit of a back and forth with YouTube. I'm trying to keep the channel going, and sometimes it gets tricky. But anyway, we're still here. And anyway, let's forget about that stuff. Let's just do the work, okay? Here we go. Cards are well shuffled. I always shuffle at the end of the show from previous times or previous clients or readings during the week, and we start fresh. So it would look something like this. We bless the deck, bless every single card. We bless our invisible friends, our angels, our archangels, our guardian angels, our little pets from beyond, our loved ones from beyond, all of that. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things moving forward. Now, this is specific for Gregory regarding the Salazar case. Okay? Let's have a look. So we've got the temperance energy here, like out there. Just imagine if you could say that the temperance energy is basically a condensation of all of this. In other words, how are we going to put this all in a pot, swirl it around, and how does it apply specifically to Gregory in this case? Well, it's very much about healing and being healed. It makes me feel that the situation is, I'll just show it up to you as close as I can. It's about healing and being healed. Be loving and be loved. It's a beautiful phenomenon. Once you understand how it works, it's literally physics. It's basically physics and understanding how energy works. Energy flows where attention goes. And for like the advanced yoga stuff that I was talking about earlier, you can really concentrate that energy and turn it into a healing force. And you might have seen those things online, online energy healers, or remote healers, Reiki healers. Reiki is a very specific form of energy healing that works on the understanding that the healing power of love basically moves through your hands. Okay? Now, in the case of Gregory, let's just say he's a practitioner, a healing practitioner in his particular field, where he can bring healing to a client. And for that to happen, for that to work out, it would mean going into the battlefield where the client is under duress and where Gregory is representing a client. And the objective would be to bring healing, to bring love and healing to the client, and effectively what amounts to a reciprocal love and healing to yourself. In other words, mutual love and healing. What is the most beneficial thing for the client? Okay, number one, it's the client, because Gregory is representing a client, and because of work that we've done before, I'm just confiding that the Salazar is a client. So the temperance indicates that the most important thing is healing. Healing, healing. Gentle, powerful, effective healing. And Gregory would have to be the person who administers that, and in so doing receives the healing power of love. It's a reciprocal energy field that I sense here. And of course, in any healthy relationship dynamic, a person or business or something like that, it's mutually beneficial. For example, I am receiving donations tonight, and in return I offer tarot reading services. It's mutually beneficial. Okay? Same thing with Gregory and client. It's mutually beneficial. Gregory is in a position to essentially provide what ultimately amounts to healing, soothing, calm healing to a client. What does that look like? Let's have a look. Here's the situation itself. So the Hierophant, to me this would indicate it has to be done in the formal setting, which is kind of what you do already, Gregory. In a formal environment where everything has to be delineated according to the law. Very, very, very specific, according to the law, the laws of the land, the highest manifestation of law, in a way that serves the client, in a way that ultimately it is the client that is served rather than the enemy or rather than the self. And for that to happen, what I'm sensing here is that it's like being under pressure, under immense pressure to default to the very, very highest calling of your service, where I don't know, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know all the legal terms and things like that, but where in order for justice to be served, which translates into healing being received, it has to go through the court system in a very orderly, very precise way so that it works out for the client. Let's have a look here. What are the challenges here? Wow, look at all this stuff, Gregory. All these major arcana. So it's a very fated, this is a very fated situation where it makes me feel as though you, Gregory, are being called to go above and beyond your own personal, not agenda, but your own personal codes and belief systems, and affiliate yourself with the very, very highest understandings and interpretations of the world, the law, the codes of practice, like the commandments, to do things properly in such a way that it translates into healing for the client. And that might be really hard to do. The reason being is that there are things that you might feel, I feel this is very much to do with the Piscean energy right now, where there's a lot of fog and a lot of mystery about what are the potential outcomes here, and you don't know. And one of the tricky things about this energy would be like, you don't even know what you don't know. There's no hint. And so you're left with this like troubling, deep sense of uncertainty and discomfort, like God knows where this is going to go. God knows how this is going to actually play out. And so you end up having to revert to the absolute highest understanding of the law and the court and the whole justice system in order to serve the client and bring justice to the client, which actually translates into healing for the client. So it's almost like it might be uncomfortable, but having to operate as an unconventional but very powerful healer. And there's a lot of, also because of the Piscean energy, not known, because you don't know what you don't know, it means you're stuck with having to completely trust in yourself, your natural skills, and the healing power of love to operate through you, where you represent the highest standards possible in the situation, irrefutable, taking full command of the situation, full charge of the situation, where the only possible outcome would be healing for the Salazar, whatever that looks like. What are the challenges here? And we've already looked at that. The big challenges, like the mystery. This is very Piscean, like you don't know what you don't know. It's just fog, like, what am I supposed to do? What does this look like? Okay, well, we don't know, because you don't know what you don't know. What's going to happen? How do we go forward? You have to have a lot of blind faith and trust. All right, moving forward. Okay, when I see the Five of Pentacles here, don't be scared. What it makes me feel like is to understand that with the Salazar situation, some of it is, like you said, fated. There's a lot of fated type of energy going on here. It's almost like you were sucked into it or trapped into it. So it has become a very fated thing for you, for better or worse. You're having to carry this thing and deal with it in a very, very professional way, which might feel doesn't make sense to you personally, and yet you are kind of stuck there, having to represent someone and do what serves the Salazar. And so it's almost like I'm sensing a couple of little messages here, how to go forward, understanding that Salazar is crippled in his own way, and in your own way, no offense, Gregory, in your own way, you're crippled as well. And that's what gives you resonance with Salazar, because you understand his pain and his suffering. It's empathy. It's empathic. Pain recognizes pain. You can understand Salazar. Salazar understands you. The thing about it is that it's frustrating, because it might feel like, oh, with the money aspect, again, it might feel like it's a little bit cursed here because of of what's not known, and then having to do things that might feel unconventional or strange to you in your own nature, or strange to the court, or strange to the, I don't know the language, but the other people. But ultimately it's about serving Salazar, and not so much about seeking maximum reward, but understanding that the material outcome was, it's almost like it was cursed and limited from the outcome. And to have any kind of real justice would be putting so much pressure on the situation that it becomes counterproductive. So you end up going forward realizing that it's not about a traditional win. It's much more about it's a very personal, private journey. I mean, it's not something you would ever converse with Salazar, but it's very much about self-healing. Salazar and you and Salazar. It's a very strange situation, but my feeling is that it's not about getting rich. It's about healing and understanding that, I don't know if you've ever been in those situations, Hold on, I have. Okay. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Hold on. Okay, I got to click a few buttons here. Hold on, I'm getting lost with the technology. Okay, that's a good way. Do you see what Necessary Truth just put on the screen there? The reward is justice, not just monetary. Okay, so the really biggest reward is healing. Okay, Gregory, your notes are saying you think the client is okay. Is the interaction? It's the interaction between the judicial system and the insurance industry. It's dirty. Okay, it's corrupt. And my feeling is that it's so corrupt that some of it is being held from you, and you will never, ever fully figure out the machinery, the mechanics of the corruption, and you don't know what you don't know, and you probably have to live with that, which would be very frustrating. So you end up with what necessary is like. The reward is justice, not monetary. It's something to think about, okay? So, yeah. Yeah, we need to move on. Get it done. Do it according to the books. Do it by the highest standards of law, understanding that there's a lot of duplicity and fog and, let's say, like you were saying, between the justice system and the insurance system, there's some very, very, very shady stuff. Very, very secret, shady stuff going on behind the scenes to which you are not privy. They don't want you behind the scenes because you're a man of the law, doing things by the book. They don't do that. So in other words, you end up with a compromise. End up with a compromise like this, okay? I don't know if uncovering the secrets will bring greater rewards. I don't know. I can't really tell here. My feeling is that the important thing is to move on and wrap it all up, get it done, primarily to get the client sorted out so you can move on with your life. This could be very frustrating because it makes me feel as though with this fated energy here, it's just like, well, what am I supposed to do? Am I just trapped in this fateful situation and I just have to go along like a robot or something? No, I don't think so. It's a question, I think, in the end of being content with an outcome that might not be spectacular, but it would be let's say, maybe not even appropriate, but the best that could be attained. Let's put it that way. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. And we've got 2 more readings. Thank you, Gregory. I hope this helped. I hope it just didn't lead to more confusion. Oh, okay, before I put this away, so does that mean settling or going to trial? This would indicate settling. In other words, you're frustrated, client might be frustrated, but you settle and you get what you can. To me, this looks like settling. That's just my opinion. Looks to me like if you decided with those three major arcana there, like if you decide to go to trial, the Neptune energy is so powerful that you might end up regretting it. It could end up where the trial itself would be so depleting that it almost is just not worth it. That's what I'm sensing here. Again, I don't know for sure, but that's definitely what I'm sensing. Very frustrating. Okay, I'm going to shuffle this up, clear this up. We're going to have a little tune. Give me a second, I've got to put on another tune here.
If you wish for a simple miracle, if you wish you can have one right away, all you need is some faith, is the will. Ask for it and it will come to you today. I want you to be oh so happy. I want you to be your higher self, yeah. I want you to live and die laughing. Taste your dreams today. Taste your dreams this way, yeah. Na da 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 da, na da 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 da, la da 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 da. And if you wish to be in a state of grace, ask for it and it will meet you face to face. And if you wish, if you dare to dream, you will find that it's easier than it seems. Hey, I want you to be oh so happy. I want you to be your higher self, yeah. I want you to live and die laughing. Taste your dreams today. Taste your dreams this way, yeah. Oh, na da 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 la da 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 la da 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 oh la da 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 yeah. I want you to be oh so happy, yeah. I want you to be your higher self, yeah. I want you to live and die laughing. Taste your dreams today. Taste your dreams this way. Taste your dreams this way. chased your dreams today.
There we go. All right. Hold on, let me leave. I gotta check in with this chat. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Basically, sometimes know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There will be time enough for counting when the game is done. Okay, yeah. All right, you got this, Gregory. You're smarter than them, but is the fight worth it? Or is your peace of mind worth the stress? Very well spoken. I really appreciate the support. With those 3 majors in a row like that, I can go blind necessary. No. A lot of the unknown is about the defendant Gomez. Ah. God, we might have to do something about that. Okay, all right. All right, for the time being, though, we got to move on. Hold on, I just want to check in for a minute here. All right. I just wanted to know that, I just wanted to convey that how should I put this? You know, I check my charts every day. I do it because I have to. And it's kind of how I navigate. You know how birds have their satellite navigation, and whales and bees and fish and things. They have their navigation systems, the geomagnetic field and all of that. Well, that's sort of why I do the astrology for myself. It's to try and keep myself stable, because I learned the hard way that if I don't do my daily homework, I can get all over here with the Neptunian influences in particular. It's like sometimes I feel I can be anything, anytime, anywhere, for any reason. It's a very odd feeling. And it's like, what do you do with all of that? What do you do with it? And so I try to get it condensed, like, well, what does it mean for me now? Like, what now? What now? What now? And I try to squeeze everything through the filter of Saturn, which helps to bring everything down to reality here on Earth, where I gaze around the world and I think, okay, well, I'm in Las Vegas. I have this physical body. I have these resources. I have personal talents. I have challenges and so on. And filter that, squeeze that through for the day, and then figure out, oh, what am I going to do now? And I often feel like I should be doing 1 video per day. I mean, it would be like, for example, the little astrodoodle, they would look very, very similar each day, but you start to notice that the moon is going da, 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 da. And then you would understand, like, wow, that's why you follow the moon so closely. Yeah. But then you'd see the sun and Mercury and Venus and Mars also moving around quite quickly. But after that, everything really slows down. When you get to Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they're going to grind their way through my astrodoodles very, very, very slowly. But it all translates into the now, the power of now. And so you expand that and you get the healing power of now. And what does that look like? What is the healing power of now? And then I look at myself and I realize, okay, well, what am I doing with my hands? What am I doing with my brain? What am I doing with my physical body? And I try to figure it out moment by moment by moment. And in some ways, it's very disorienting to live that way, because I like to have projects, goals, and I've lived a life of being hugely ambitious and had spectacular failures. And so I feel a bit bruised and beaten up. So I'm trying to learn how to be very, very gentle and dramatically lower my expectations in life and the world, so that I can exist in the now in a state of peace and comfort, without feeling like I have to change the world, I have to go and do something spectacular in this world. It's difficult. But the way I do that, it's a mechanism. The astrology for me it's a mechanism. It's a tool to help me get into the present moment, into the now, so that I don't live with my brain over here thinking, oh, I could be a pop star any minute now, or I could be a multimillionaire crypto genius any minute now. Instead, I'm just like, okay, well, this is it. Should I go get some groceries? Oh. What about, home improvements? Oh. What about tidying up loose ends on my finances? Real down-to-earth stuff, okay? Sometimes it gets really, really tricky. Anybody with a very prominent Piscean theme will understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, the Pisces energy is extremely strong right now. And so that makes it extra important that you have to find some sort of grounding with reality to navigate through all of this, okay? Okay? All right, anyway, necessary, we're going to do a reading for you now. Cards are well shuffled. So everybody gather round, bring in your invisible friends like we do at the campfire. The more the merrier. Oh, I'm just going to share a little story. Love Triber showed me this little video about Disneyland and the haunted house. It was kind of funny. It looked like a very elaborate haunted house, and they had a lot of like three-dimensional, I don't know, graphics or holograms or something where you could see the ghosts. It was a very Piscean little episode. You could see a tarot card reader, you could see a grave robber, you could see ghosts flying around, you could see ghosts of past lives dancing and partying and eating. You could see witches and scary monsters. It was kind of funny. Alrighty, here we go. Alright, so what kind of messages do we have for Necessary Truth tonight? Here, right now. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. And let's have a look at the external influences. Of course, I usually default to the planets, but what does that look like specifically for you? So we've got the 9 of Pentacles. My feeling, the very second I saw this, my feeling is that you would resonate with this already. Okay? Necessary? Being a woman of substance yourself, using your natural gifts and talents and resources optimized to the best reward for yourself, which is often by providing your talents and gifts and resources as a service to others. So it becomes mutually beneficial. They receive and you receive. And in so doing, you create a degree of independence where you are your own woman, so to speak. You are the master of your destiny, and you've created a certain degree of stability, comfort, worldliness. And that's a beautiful thing. And this Nine of Pentacles here is just a reminder. Please do not forget your most awesome self, or this particular version of yourself. Not everybody gets to have this or be this. It's a wonderful, beautiful energy. And it's really good to own it. This is very much being a person of substance, or even better, a woman of substance. Okay? All these pentacles here, talents, your resources, all of it is all hard-earned. Not just in this lifetime, but previous lifetimes, okay? Fluffles! Yo! No more readings tonight. Okay, I gotta put that out here, sorry. We're booked up. We're reading for Necessary Truth right now. And after Necessary, we're going to read for Esther. And that's the last reading of the night. Okay, so just heads up. If anybody wants a reading, of course, I can schedule something with you during the week. Okay? No problem. So, this is a reminder. Please do not forget how awesome you are and what an amazing privilege it is to have this degree of independence. Okay? Here's the situation. Okay. My feeling is that you're grappling with, the challenges in your life, but you're dealing with it very well. And you're at the point of, you know what? It's okay. I can handle it. Bring it on. Bring it on. The more, what's that expression, like, the more challenging it becomes, the stronger I become. So this is, again, is positive feedback loop energy. Positive feedback loop. Okay? So there are okay, so there would be whatever these challenges might be, financial, career, personal life, love and relationships, career, whatever it might be, all of those things, they can come at you all day, every day, from any angle, anywhere, anytime. But you're there. You can handle it because you're strong in your own unique way. You are very strong. And it's kind of what happens. Have you ever noticed this, Necessary? I can try to describe it from a guy perspective. But it's really for everybody. Have you ever noticed that, like, let's just say you're resonating purely in your element and you're just being Necessary Truth, and it's nothing better or worse than your regular moving around through your day-to-day life, but in fact you're radiating immense power. It's the healing power of love moving through you, and you are deeply in tune with yourself, knowing that you are a person of substance. You don't have to prove it to anybody. You just are. And so it just radiates out of your aura. Okay? Guess what happens? Some people feel threatened by that. They would be feeling threatened by your power, your gifts, your independence, your resources, your ability to be you and stand up for yourself, take care of yourself. Somebody, could be anybody, like if it was a guy and I was full of my most awesome self and I walked into a bar, I didn't know anybody, and then someone comes up to you and kind of like smacks you on the shoulder, accidentally on purpose, spills a little bit of beer. It's like some people just can't handle it, okay? And so it's like, oh gosh. Okay, you have to remember that the Aries vibe is very strong now too for everybody. So it would be perfectly normal to expect whatever challenges are on the front burners or on the menu of your life right now, okay, coming at you from every angle here and there. You're fine. Like, if someone or something is directly or indirectly trying to take you down, you can just go, or, you know, or just brush it off, or, you know, just a good old-fashioned, so that you are effectively bulletproof. It's like having an invisibility cloak, where that's part of your arsenal of self-defense, where you can make yourself strong and resilient so that the pressures of life just basically bounce off of you. You know? Let's have a look. Okay. Okay. Hold on, I gotta. What's this going on in the chat there? I just heard the song stronger. Okay. So, this is not you looking for trouble or trying to pick a fight. It's more to do with just cruising through life, knowing that there are, let's say, challenges around every corner, or right in front of you, or right behind you, or on top of you, or underneath you, somewhere, somehow. But you don't take it personally, you just deal with it. And that process feeds on itself. Positive feedback, Luke, and it actually makes you stronger. So what are the challenges here? Moving through life. Oh. This is a very, very, very powerful girly card. Girl power. The ultimate in girl power. This is going to sound very strange, okay, necessary? So you're coming in with this, all right? This is a reminder, dear necessary truth, please don't forget how incredibly fortunate, gifted, and talented that you are. First of all, by birth, then by work, by intention, developing your own gifts and talents and resources to be who you are today. And that is an awesome thing. Being a woman of substance is an awesome thing. Even if it intimidates other people, so what? That's their problem. If they can't handle your energy, that's their problem, not yours. And yet, here you are, with the Empress. It's like, at the end of the day, having a quick look in the bathroom mirror before you go to bed, thinking like, am I really all that? Does anybody really love me? Does anybody really appreciate my awesomeness? I know I'm really awesome. I'm the most awesome person I know. But sometimes, because I don't see it reflected back to me, I have doubts about my own awesomeness, my supreme girl power. Oh, okay. Do you see what does that make sense? Extreme self-doubt for no good reason, except that you're a person and you're fragile, and you have that Piscean moon, like you just said in the chat there. So just alone with that Piscean moon, that would indicate that's a very, very, very delicate, tender spot for you. It could be so easy for somebody to hurt you. And you are potentially extremely vulnerable. But at the same time, of course, you have these immense psychic powers. Thank you very much. So, if you do have those moments of self-doubt now and again, I guess it would be understandable. So how are we going to deal with that moving forward? Oh. Okay. Let's have a look. Queen of Pentacles. Rip it up and start again. You brush it off. Shed a tear. Heal yourself using your own girl power on yourself. Administering the healing power of love to yourself because you're so awesome and you deserve it. So that you can recalibrate yourself, and by the time you wake up in the morning, after a night of dreams and spookiness, and more dreams and spookiness and beauty and wonders, you wake up realizing, oh, really all I have to do is get back to what works. That means Queen of Pentacles energy. That means planting new seeds for the day, harvesting the fruits of the previous plantings, being an excellent custodian of the resources that I generate and create, that I can share with the world at my discretion. There we go. Get back to it. Queen of Pentacles. See, this is like, it's like this Queen of Pentacles ties into the Seven of Pentacles here. In other words, all of this Seven of Pentacles is the result of a lifetime of this. The Queen of Pentacles. Minding your own business, taking care of business, being very, I would say, astute, as responsible and functional as you possibly can be in this physical material world, even though you're blessed or maybe cursed with being like a powerful psychic medium, which is on a completely different frequency to the rest of day-to-day life. You still have this, okay? You've got this. All of this came from this. Keeping this going by being your awesome self, even allowing for moments of self-doubt, comes from keeping it going. You just do what you already know works. You just keep it going. You already know the formula. You just needed to be reminded. Okay, it's a complete, supreme, enormous positive feedback loop. Okay? Yep. A lot of pentacles. Alrighty. Give me a second. I gotta. Hello, Anthony. I didn't see that. You're drinking some beer. Okay. All right. Let's have a look. So next up, we have. Okay, it's okay. It was my pleasure. Okay, Necessary Truth. It's probably good that you got this reading from me, TarotLumination, because this might have hurt your feelings. Someone else could have translated this in another way that might have really hurt your feelings. And it doesn't have to be that way, okay? It's like a circular reading. It all comes out okay in the end. Thank you, Anthony. All right, I guess it's time for another song. Why not? Another TarotLumination song. Let's go to the hits. Oh, how about this one? Since we're talking about all this Neptunian, Piscean type healing stuff and how it all moves as an energy field through the ether would be this invisible energy that is surrounding us all the time. We're permanently swimming in it like it's a goldfish in water. And sometimes we forget. And that ether is not just a three-dimensional perception of the world in which we live. It's multidimensional. Just imagine your pituitary gland when it's working as a psychic medium, or when you're in the land of dreams, when you sleep, or you're like in the, what do they call it, that twilight type of lucid dreaming state, or when you're operating as an artist and a musician and a writer, and you're receiving divine inspiration through the ether. That's what this little song is about. It's about how the healing power of love moves through the ether.
Through the ether.
Okay, so...
Laying up and around in our mountains, in our seas and our forests, with all of our stones, exploring one another, pushing our boundaries like new lovers. And you comfort me through the ether, and you tell me, I can tell that you're worried about me. And you assure me through the ether that we're okay, everything is gonna be okay. That you're holding my hand all the way. Our innocence is becoming so apparent in our magnificence at the same time too. With your permission and our shared ambition, we get the chance to discover our truths. And you comfort me through the ether, and you tell me, I can tell that you're worried about me. And you assure me through the ether that we're okay, everything is gonna be okay. That you're holding my hand all the way. That you're holding my hand all the way. Holding my hand all the way. Holding my hand all the way.
All right. It's one of the ways to think about the energy of the ether and how the healing power of love can move through the ether. Sometimes it's connected with tragedy. Sometimes it's a beautiful thing. But the most common way that people become aware of the ether, excuse me, one of the most common examples is a mother and a child. Some mothers are very, very deeply tuned in with their little children, and they can tell, no matter the distance, whether the little child is at school or had to go on a road trip or trip on a bus or even a plane, or on an adventure with some other kids off on a journey, and something really bad happens. It could be anything from a car crash, or somebody said something really horrible to the child, and the child felt really, really hurt. Whatever the source of the pain and the hurt, it wouldn't surprise me to know that the mother felt it at exactly that moment in time, from miles away, hundreds, thousands of miles away, because that energy moves through the ether. That same energy is also the healing power of love. It can move through the ether just exactly the same way. You have to own the healing power of love first. It's like an energy. You have to own it and be a good custodian, and then learn how to manage it and to be loving and be loved accordingly. It doesn't mean you have to sit around all day dressed up in yoga gear and sitting on mats and chanting and covered in incense and flowers and just doing nothing, waiting for somebody just to sort of wake you up. No. The ether is a very, very vivid, lively place. And it's very, very active. Energy's moving through there all the time. That is the ether. All right, Esther. We have a history with you, Esther. One of the common themes that always seems to show up somehow is that, well, a couple of things. A woman of substance and a life well lived. Actually, a third thing, living by example. Very simple little stuff, and little things you can put on a post-it note. A life well lived. A person of substance. Living by example. All of those for better or worse. All right. Sorry, just... All right. Delicious. Thank you very much. All right, cards are well shuffled. I was shuffling throughout the whole of that little song. Hope you liked it. Sorry, I don't do, what do they call, jumpers, flyers. I don't do reversals or anything like that. I just keep going until I feel that the deck is pristine. It's funny, I've done thousands of readings and the deck is still like brand new. I think that's very weird. My other deck, I have lots of different decks. One of them is the traditional Rider-Waite, and again, I don't know how many readings I've done. The box is very, very worn out, from loading and emptying the cards, but the cards themselves are pristine. They're like brand new, which I find very strange. Anyway, here we go. Esther, you're up. Get yourself cozy and tucked in, and sit on your hands if you have to. Get comfortable with a beverage, whatever you got to do. And we're going to do a reading for you. Looks like we're going to go completely blind here, which is great. I love doing that. All right. All right, what kind of messages do we have here tonight for Esther? Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things going forward. Let's have a look at externals. Okay, we have the Eight of Pentacles here. So, along with what I was just saying earlier, being a woman of substance already, and I know you said in the notes on the chat earlier, you're aware that there was actually an episodic television show years ago. It was on the BBC. It was a British series. Very, very classy, very, very well produced series. A woman of substance. And the story was that set back in history where women were typically very confined to motherhood, housekeeping, cooking, cleaning, and that's it. A lot of people were, in the feudal systems, where you had royalties and kings and queens, lords and ladies and dukes and duchesses and sirs and madams. And then you had the commoners and the peasants and the farmers and the landowners and the peasants at the very lower ends of society. It wasn't really slavery. It was much more to do with you would be working on a farm or with or for a landowner, and you would be provided. Okay, look at it this way. Sorry, I'll come back to exactly with the Eight of Pentacles in a minute, but I just want to share something with you, Esther. When I was a kid, I spent quite a few years in England, and it was during a period where the society was still very stratified. Kings, queens, lords, ladies, sirs, madams, dukes, duchesses, and I ran into all of these types. It was a very weird feeling. And for years we lived out in a village, way out in the boonies, a little old British village. And most of the houses were stone houses with little glass windows. Most of the houses were several hundred years old. And the little village was surrounded by farms, which were already hundreds of years old. And then there was a stately home called Durham Park. And it was just this staggeringly beautiful mansion, stately home, just like you've seen in the pictures. And that's where the dukes and duchesses lived. And in other parts of the village, there was a sir and a lady and so. And almost apart from the 2 or 3 big houses, all the other little houses belonged to the main house. And everybody living in those houses worked on the land for the big farmers and landowners and for the big dukes and ladies, okay? Durham Park. Almost, it's actually Dyrham. It's very beautiful. You can see it online. Anyway, I live right next door to Durham Park in a cottage. And so when I was a kid in our cottage many years before, that was the house for the vicar. And next door was the house for the groundskeeper and the main senior gardener and his wife, who did the same thing. And down the street, every little house would be filled with people who'd been there, their families had been there for generations and generations. Farm laborer. Somebody did the cows and the cattle and the milking. Somebody did the maintenance on the gutters and the roofing. Someone else would do the maintenance on the lawns and the landscaping. Some people would be working as the farmers. It was a feudal system. And of course it was all falling apart. The system was falling apart at that time when I was alive over there. Yes, Dyrham. But it was an amazing thing to witness. And it was very, very, very organized. And everybody knew their place in society. And everybody would wake up with a sense of mission and purpose about what to do and how to do it. There would be the laundry people who did all the cleaning. There would be the people, the families that took care of the horses and the carriages, and the feeding of the horses and the carriages, and on and on and on. There would be another family that took care of the guns and the dogs and the hounds for the hunting seasons, or the hunt that would go on every month. A big, big hunt. I mean, you wouldn't believe this stuff. You just wouldn't believe it. It's like out of a novel, you know? Anyway, the point that I'm trying to get to, Esther, is that my feeling is somewhere you've got this ancestry. You've got this in your blood. You know what it means to work. You know what it means to work hard. And it's a generational thing that I feel that you inherited. And you understand things about money. You understand your place in society. And it creates this sense of building your own net worth, building your own sense of self-worth through your own efforts, okay? And so my feeling is that the Eight of Pentacles is kind of a reminder that it actually never stops. Even though you're already a woman of substance, even though you are already, what were all those things that I was saying? Although you're a woman of substance, what this is an indication of is that it actually never stops. Living by example, it never really stops. In other words, you get up every single day and you do what has to be done to continue to build and amass whatever it takes to be a woman of substance. It never, never stops. And you do this with joy. It's actually very comforting and satisfying to be able to build and generate wealth through your attitude and your efforts at being a person of substance, and through this you're actually living by example. You know? It's like you're still doing it. And my feeling is that you learned this some way, somehow, over multiple lifetimes and generations. It's like you fully, the little story that I shared with you about the feudal world where I lived in England, it would probably be very easy for you to recognize it, especially since you already recognize the television episodic series called The Woman of Substance from the BBC over in jolly old England. Yeah, so if you want to see where I lived, you could just Google Durham Park, Dyrham, Durham Park, and that's where I lived for a while. I didn't actually live in the park or in the main building, but I lived in the little cottage next door behind the bushes next to the little church. Anyway, here we go. What's the situation? Oh, it must be good to be you. Yep. So with the Queen of Wands here, it makes me feel as though you might be so naturally immersed in the natural process of being a woman of substance. In other words, you understand the value of work, the principles of work, the joys and the satisfaction of work, crafts, and whatever it is. Perhaps you spent a life as a dutiful housewife, or perhaps you had a day job doing this or that in a way that was satisfying for you, in a way that made you feel good, for appropriate rewards for efforts expended, and therefore building up your substance. Okay? And then in the process, people can be so immersed in the process where, okay, let's look at it this way. Here's another story. I used to be a workaholic. I would still be a workaholic if I could. But the things that I like to do are typically very physical. And I don't have that capacity anymore. I've got quite a lot of spinal damage and nerve damage and so on. And so I have to find other ways to satisfy my sense of creating self-worth through work. So I'm working on that. But my feeling is that for you, Esther, with the Eight of Pentacles there, it's a reminder that you understand and appreciate the phenomenon of work and that it is a very noble thing and it's a privilege. A lot of people don't have work. They don't have jobs. There's 2 billion people on earth today, 2 billion people who live in such dire poverty that there's no such thing as a job. The nearest thing to a job would be going to the local landfill and pilfering, rummaging through garbage, trying to find anything of value that you can take back to the next village market, see if you can sell it to get a meal. So, and it's great to be immersed. I loved, work was my salvation. I was a workaholic. I loved going to work. I would work 40, 50, 60 hours a week at whatever jobs I had, sometimes 3 jobs running simultaneously. And I loved the feeling. I would work until I drop. I literally work until I drop. And then I'd get up and start it all over again. And I learned the hard way that it's actually a little bit extreme, a little bit almost self-destructive. And I kind of lost sight of the meaning or the purpose. It became a compulsion. And so the reason I'm telling that story is because it might be that it's almost like a compulsion for you to be a woman of substance. So you feel compelled to always be doing something creative that contributes on an ongoing basis to the life of substance. So in other words, you would always be perceived by other people as being a woman in motion, a woman of substance, just going about things. Like until the day that my dad died, he was up on his feet, baking cakes, doing housework, landscaping, doing the book work, for whatever it is, until one day he just keeled over. Now, with the Queen of Wands here, my feeling is that even though it's not in the planetary energy surrounding you, it might be nice for you every now and again to take a break and perhaps indulge yourself a little bit in being a woman of substance, where you could maybe go out on the town. Maybe treat yourself in such a way as if you are the Queen of Wands. In other words, let's say it's like, I don't know, it's the weekend or something, and you've been doing all sorts of things during the week, and then you think, okay, well, I need to rest and relax because I got to do more stuff next week. And you forget to treat yourself. My feeling here with the Queen of Wands is to, even if you treat yourself well already, every now and again it might help to really do something special, really special for yourself, where you can, it's almost like experience yourself in your full glory. You know, like how, okay, this is getting really, I'm taking it a little far here, okay? It's like, okay, think of the woman of substance. Think of the Queen of England, or think of Lady Diana, or Princess Kate, or something like that, where, you know, they have their day-to-day lives, and they probably dress nicely, and they have assistants and everything like that. But every now and again, they're out in public in ceremony where they are in their full glory, and they have their crowns and robes and jewels and everything like that. My feeling here is just, it might be an idea every now and again to really indulge yourself. Put on your favorite clothes, your most precious jewelry, and I don't know, go somewhere special where people can see you being that person. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I'm sensing, okay? Now, what's the challenges here? We always have a challenge here. It's always... Oh, it makes me feel that you're a little bit shy for everything that I just described. It's like, TL, that's just too much. It's just, I agree with you, I am a woman of substance. I agree with you, I live by example. But I'm not too sure if I should just be swanning around the place, displaying my most awesome self, and for everybody to recognize me and look across the street and say, who is that woman? Whoa. And it might be simply because deep down, you're a little bit shy. That's all. Maybe you're just a little bit shy, and maybe you don't see any particular reason to display yourself or to be this, let's say, in your full glory. In other words, you're already happy with this. Yeah, that's really all it is. With the Page of Cups here, it makes me feel like, I know what, it makes me feel like, hey TL, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I understand it, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, TL. But the thing is that, is that a little bit grandiose? That's not narcissism or anything? Or is that just self-love where you become obsessed with your own beauty and wonder? No, Esther. It's perfectly okay to be your most awesome self, even when it's on display, and you don't have to be shy. Sometimes it's really good to just like be full on out there, and you can still learn. You can still learn from this. Like maybe go to a party. Maybe if somebody's inviting you out, or there's some kind of special thing, or a weekend something, or a festival of this or a festival of that on the weekend. Apparently I'm going to a festival on this coming next weekend where there's going to be all sorts of vendors and, fancy cars and merchandise, and it's in a beautiful place. And I'm going to make sure that I feel my most awesome self when I go. And I'm not going to be shy about it. Okay, let's have a look. How do we move forward? Okay, with the Hanged Man here, my feeling is that you might have to, what I'm talking about here might seem quite alien to you. Let's just say that you're a very grounded, straightforward person, life well lived, living by example, woman of substance, okay, already well established. Why would I indulge myself in such ridiculous, over-the-top behavior? Well, because there's actually still more to learn about life that can only be learned by being every now and again being your most awesome shiny self. I think Necessary said, like, try and be a Leo, just try and be a Leo. And in order for this to happen, in order to manifest the good potential that's being shown here, it might mean you have to kind of brainwash yourself in a way that might make you feel absurd. So with the Hangman, in other words, suspended animation. Suspend your version of reality for a moment and allow another version of reality to manifest in your life according to what's showing up in this reading. And the only way that can be manifested is by deliberately suspending your natural resistance to showing off or being this, okay? I don't know if that makes sense. I'm trying to explain myself, but it's a little bit difficult. It would be, okay, just let's pretend I'm there with you right now, And you know damn well, and I know damn well, that there's a terrific event happening just down the street. You don't have to have tickets or anything. All you have to do is show up and be your most wonderful self. And I tap you on the shoulder. I go, Esther, come on, let's go out. Let's have fun. Come on, get dressed up. Come on. This is going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. You're going to see people all in their full glory. They're going to see you in your full glory. Come on. And you're there like, oh, I don't want to do that. You might just actually enjoy it. All right. So that's what I'm sensing. Hello, Bubba. Hi, Bubba. Bubba's here. He wants to do an inspection. Hold on. Come on, Bubba. Oh, he's hungry. He doesn't even want to bother with inspections. He wants food, water, and cuddles, all of that. Okay. So, nothing like that interests you. I give up on that. I don't want to go. I don't want any of it. Anyway, don't worry about it, Esther. Just forget about this reading. Perhaps if something like that turns up spontaneously in the next few days, weeks, or months, or the year, you might be reminded of this reading and you might think, whoa, maybe, who knows? Maybe it would be fun. Who knows? All right, Bubba. Come up for a second, Bubba. I'm a little bit worried about you, Bubba. Okay. Hi, Bubba. All right, Bubba. Here we go. So, I'm not trying to force anything, Esther. I'm just reading it what's coming to me when I do the reading. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to. There's no law, okay? Hi, Bubba. Hi, Bubba. All right, I have to do a little bit of grooming. He needs fresh ice water and he needs dinner. All right. It's just a tarot reading, okay, Esther? So don't worry. No one's going to force you into anything. Hi, Bubba. I love you, Bubba. Yeah. Okay. So, you know what? Let's wrap it up. That's the end of the show, basically. And I'm going to say good night and farewell. I'm going to play some music. See if I can do this. How did I do this earlier? What was I doing? Give me a second, folks. I have to figure this out. What did I do? Okay, let's try this. Okay, here we go.